Hi kids, rainy day practice. I thought we would, since I mentioned in my last bong tutorial that you could also do the bong exercises sitting in a stool. So since it's raining, actually earlier it was snowing out, why don't you grab a chair and we can go through this together. So you've got your bong. And a hard bottom stool is perfect. Something where you can have your feet on the floor on a non-slippery surface, like a rug, or put on some shoes if you're on a hardwood floor. Put on some shoes so you don't slip. And a nice hard bottom stool is perfect. So, if you recall, we started with, in our last practice video, making a circle in the plane of the wheel. So now seated on a stool, you can have your legs a comfortable distance apart. We have a lot of options. The pelvis has a lot of options here. So just go ahead and start to play with making that circle in the plane of the wheel. Remember, you're pressing into your bong. And now allow for your pelvis to rock behind your sits bones. Your sits bones are those two hard protuberances, those bony protuberances on which you sit. And if you push the bong forward, you can feel yourself rolling behind your sits bone, and your back begins to round backwards. So you can lower your head. And then as you raise the bong, so you see we're using the arms as levers into the spine. You can follow the bong with your eyes. And just gently round and arc the back. Just gently round and arc the back. Actually, put your bong down for a moment and just rest your hands on your lap. And you can let your hands drift forwards as you round the spine, like we do at the beginning of the form. And then let the hands slide along the thighs as you take the eyes upwards and allow your chest to open and to lift and the eyes to look up. So just go back and forth between those two places a bit so you can feel not just your pelvis rolling backwards and rocking forwards, but you feel your whole spine responding, your neck, your shoulder blades. They come closer together and then they come further apart. And then you can pick up your bong again and start to make the movement of the wheel. Now there's a lot of possibilities to play with. You could round the back, and then come to sit, round back, come to sit forward of the sits bones. So allow the pelvis to move. When do you breathe in and when do you breathe out? And then if you were to just stay right on top of your sits bones, but there's still movement in the spine, there's still movement in the chest. You're just not letting yourself go so far back or so far forward. And then taking it into standing. I bet you can't even see my head. You can sit down and stay sitting down in your stance, in your basic stance. And then come to sitting, and from sitting, see if you can generate some kind of movement in yourself to start turning the bong over. It is not easy. Of course, you could do it with your hands. You could do the whole thing with your hands. But could you find a way to do it from the seat of your chair? You generate a little wave. Further study needed. Okay, what else did we do? We also, back at the cherry orchard, we were measuring from side to side and turning the pelvis, turning the dantian, turning the chest. So if you take this from a seated position, do it a little bit simpler. Hold your bong so that one hand is holding down and the other hand is holding up. And whichever hand is holding up, can you turn and point the bong away from you as you turn your dantian to follow it. So you're going to turn your center to follow the bong. The bong points the way. And one knee will go forward. One knee will go forward, which means that your pelvis is turning. Your pelvis is turning, and more weight is going onto the other sits bone, which would translate as shifting your weight onto the other leg if you were standing. So just feel that movement of the pelvis, and keep this leg that you're turning towards stable. So in other words, don't let it start to wobble or wander or turn in. So keep it grounded, because that leg is shortening. Shortening. What does this remind you of? This movement, this movement, this movement, this movement. So this is a nice way to get acquainted with what your pelvis can do. Let's try the other side. So take the other hand, holding it down like a bicycle, holding a bicycle. The other hand up, and turn the bong away from you. So it's your navel's facing the end of the bong, and come back. And let's make it easy on the hips. So you can have your knees forward. So as the end of the bong goes forward, that knee goes forward too. The other knee appears to shorten because the pelvis is turning. So now that the pelvis is free to move, we could go back to our winding and play with the turning of this winding that we were doing in our last practice. So feel how your pelvis can turn. If you're on a hard wooden seat, it'll probably even slide. It can leave the seat of the chair a little bit as you step on your other sits bone. It's like your sits bones have now taken the function of feet. Try to generate another wave. It's a little easier when you connect your feet into the floor. Okay, let's try the winding again with your feet comfortably separated, a little bit more like it would be your stance. And turn, turn. Now, your pelvic bone, your pelvis is turning, and the leg stays over the toes. The knee stays over the toes. So you are effectively turning your pelvis away from your femur. Can you see that? If you take your hand and put it around your thigh and turn your pelvis with your other hand, you can help pull the pelvis around and help the knee stay open. With this hand, you can feel that you're separating the movement in the hip joint. So that would be your palm here. So your leg would not be coming with the pelvis, going away. Try the other side. Sometimes the other side is not as happy about the movement or doesn't want to do it in quite the same way, so you want to make some negotiations. The pelvis turns, the knee stays over the foot, the thigh opens, the dantian turns, and now if you pick up your bang, turn, 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 and allow your belly to go forward, forward, forward. So there's a little bit of a rocking forward and back, yes, on your pelvis like we were doing earlier. And the pelvis is very active. Now you can exaggerate it. And what if we take it in standing? Listen for that separation of the pelvis away from the leg. And the thigh, yes, the thigh can go forward. It'll go down. It'll go down. What you don't want it to do is this. Dang dang. Clapper of a bell. Bonk, 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 bonk. So, another way we can tap into the hip joints on a rainy day practice would be to lie down on the floor. So